Hi, my name is Katie Peaslee, and this is my video for my final for EDU 660 with University of Concordia, Nebraska. I am here to kind of tell you about how this course has affected myself as a teacher, how I look at students, how I act differently in my classroom, and also to go over some of the things that are in my toolkit that have really made a difference. So right now I'm actually in my classroom, and I did this one so we could kind of see how I have it set up, and two, also because my kids are at home and we wouldn't get a 10-minute video that you'd be able to hear without kids being crazy. So I teach a self-contained behavior classroom. I have grades 3 through 5th. Right now I currently have 7 students. This class has been amazing for a lot of the areas that we struggle in my class, but it's also been kind of different because I don't necessarily have the big groups, and a lot of them are doing their own kind of thing. So I do have a couple classes where they mostly work in the same curriculum, but otherwise a lot of it's individualized. So I've kind of had to tweak things as I've gone. One thing that I do take very, very seriously that I loved Dr. Archer for was our very last week, week 8, when she talked about teaching with passion, managing with compassion, working with behavioral students. These kids are kids that have experienced trauma, that have had horrible things happen in their lives. They are victims of physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect. They've been through a lot. So in this class, we have to have a lot of compassion. Just yesterday, I had some students who were feeling like they were kind of being harassed because one student was kind of talking a lot about their mom. Well, that student's mom left him in December and he hasn't seen her since. And so he misses his siblings. She kind of just signed over rights to his aunt and left to a different state and hasn't spoken to him. And so, you know, a lot of times our academics do get put on the back burner because we have to deal with these situations that these kids are going through that really are beyond their control. They're things that little kids shouldn't have to worry about, but because they were unfortunate enough to be born into these situations that they can't really control. So when it comes to teaching with passion and managing with compassion, that's one thing that I really, really strive for. One way that I do that is I had gone to a trauma-based learning and found out that kids that have experienced trauma often have a really high resting heart rate. And so, you know, that's why a lot of times we have these outbursts with students that kind of seem like they come out of nowhere, and it's because they already have a really elevated resting heart rate, and so they instantly go into that fight or flight mode. So one thing I have just started implementing into my class since starting the Dr. Archer and taking that course is my kids, we every day, multiple times a day really, we do their heart rates and their oxygen levels, and we're tracking them, and we're kind of talking about doing, you know, the deep breathing and rhythmic exercises to try to teach them to kind of start to self-regulate. So we'll take their heart rates, and then we do like a drumming exercise where they sit in their desks, and I'll hold up a card, and whichever card I hold up, that's, you know, what hand they use to start doing the drumming on their desks, just to kind of do that rhythmic motion, the sounds. I also have a big beanbag and a rocking chair that is really good for students who are escalated and who have behavioral issues, because it's a place for them to cool down. A rocking chair having that rhythmic motion, it's a great way to start to kind of lower their heart rates. Some things that I've implemented actually a lot, but some things that I've implemented into the class from this course is, one thing I loved was response cards. So I always just used whiteboards for my kids. I handed out the whiteboards, gave them a marker, you know, write down your answer, check. But there was times that we really didn't get a lot done because the time it takes to write your answer, erase your answer, you know, all of that. So I started doing response cards. I have just regular yes, no cards. And then I also did the ABCD because we do have a lot of like multiple choice questions in some of our curriculum that a lot of times are kind of higher order thinking questions. So the students struggle with that. So I like being able to have them pull out their response cards and just say, okay, you know, we're going to go over the question. Show me your answer. and then being able to check. It's really a great way to be able to just to scan the room quick, see who gets it, who needs to maybe have something else kind of retaught to them, or if we're able to just move on. Everyone's got it. So that was one thing that I implemented that I love. The kids love. They think it's like the greatest thing ever when I say get out your response cards. I still use the whiteboards a lot though too, because they do like that. I've started trying to have them go up to the board more because I think they feel like they're pretty cool to be able to go up and use the smart board and get that hands-on, out of their seats, action responses. We've started doing a lot more of like thumbs up, thumbs down for quick comprehension questions. I've really tried to do a lot more partner shares as well. So when my students are working together, our reading curriculum, it's direct instruction, and it does have a lot of choral responses built into it. So it has it like broken up into reading sections, and I usually go through and I mark down students' names on what passages I think they're going to be most successful with, because if I know one student struggles more with bigger words, I want to make sure I'm going to give him a passage that I think he's going to be able to read more fluently, and then that way he can hear other students modeling the tougher reading, and then when it comes back and we do more reviews, hopefully he'll have already heard it, seen it, and then be able to read it on his own. But it does have a lot of questions built into it, and they have even like signal marked on there, so that is when we would do our choral responses. But I'm trying to build in more partners, like where you're working with partners as well, because that's not really built into our curriculum. It's a lot of either choral responses or individual responses. So I'm trying to make an effort whenever we have a comprehension question that doesn't necessarily have just one answer. We have a lot of like predicting what might happen next, or if they have the dots in the story so a part's missing, I'm now stopping, having them think about what part might be missing, turn to your partner, share your ideas with your partner, and then because I have such a small group, everyone gets a chance to kind of share their ideas, which is nice. I do have a couple students who are just reading on their own. They don't have any other students in their current reading level. And so with those students, they're getting a lot of just one-on-one, which is good for them because I'm making sure that they understand it, but it's also kind of tough because I like being able to have them have that partner experience. So what I've done now, because I was kind of getting worried that they weren't getting that experience, I went out and I purchased a set of reading books. I got the Boxcar Kids, and I just ordered a book for everybody. And so now, when we have like a break in the day, or if we get done with our work early, I'm having them where we're doing group reads for the Boxcar Kids. And then that's allowing me to be able to kind of implement those strategies with the students who are reading one-on-one. So they're still able to, do think, pair, shares, and look, lean, whisper, things like that. Another part of my toolkit that I really do like is having the cards that have the different strategies and the steps to them and when to use them. There's times that when I know that my kids are kind of struggling and I'm thinking, well, what can I do? I pull out my cards, I'm able to kind of look at them, and it gives me a lot better ideas on what strategies I might be able to use with them. Let's see. One other thing that I've kind of learned from Dr. Archer in this course is the importance of letting kids kind of escape from just the regular routine of sitting in your desk, reading, raising your hand, answering. So I wanted to kind of bring in a project into our class that I thought would be kind of fun for the kids, but also educational, get them out of their seats, hands-on. So my kids have been working on the solar system, learning all of the planets and a bunch of facts about the planets, and they've worked really hard. It's one thing that all of my kids in my class are really, really interested in, so it made it fun. And so what they just got done actually finishing yesterday was they made solar systems. And so they were able to make their sun, and then we went through and we have all of the different planets. They were each able to paint them. We have them going, rotating around the sun in order from closest to the sun to furthest away. They were able to make, a ring for Saturn, which they thought was awesome. We included Pluto just because even though he's a dwarf planet, we're pro Pluto. We wanted him in there. So that's another thing that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do more hands-on activities, more interactions where they're able to get away from just the plain reading, answering, moving on, because I do think that all students, especially kids who do struggle with behaviors, they need a little bit more of that hands-on and learning and just diving in, because you can give a kid a passage to read. They might not learn anything, but every single one of my kids now can tell you the planet names, their order in the sun, and a fact about them, which is awesome. So I have learned an awful lot in this course. I have really, really enjoyed going through all of the videos of Dr. Archer and trying hard to implement a lot of her strategies. I know that there's so much more that I've implemented in, but since we have about 10 minutes and I'm already there, I'm going to go ahead and stop. But thank you for your time. Thank you for having a great course, and I look forward to continuing my education. Thank you. Bye.